Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 80. Sophie and Violet are in jail, and we want to know what went down. It's time for a return to the Horrorverse with a deep dive into Sisterhood, a Hyde Street Story number 4. I am Snoggle, and I am joined as usual by my partner in crime, Nick. How are you this evening, my dear?
Good evening, my dear. It's a dark and stormy autumn night here in central Ohio, southern Ohio. And
It's Southern Ohio.
yeah.
How dare you call it Central?
Which is appropriate because we're getting back into the world of Ghost Machines Horrorverse, right?
I feel like the weather decided to begin today because it knew we were going to be recording something spooky.
I know. We've got every window in the house open. We are not going to touch the AC for at least 5 months, fingers crossed. And we're getting ready to do a Halloween costume contest for a whole bunch of Cub Scouts in a couple of days. So heck yeah, I'm ready to talk about spooky.
Oh, yeah.
But before we do that, we have a shout out as usual. And this time it's to another podcast. Oh my goodness, what is this business? But we're going to share the love. And this time we're shouting out the Oblivion Bar, a comic book podcast. If you look them up on Instagram or on YouTube or all the places, they're kind of a big deal. They recently interviewed friend of the show, Jason Fabach, about Rook Exodus in a similar fashion to how we did. And they posted some parts and clips of their cool interview on Instagram, and they invited us to collaborate with them on that. So as always, we love it when people do that for anything super cool and Ghost Machine related. And in this case, love to have another podcast jumping in and doing that with us. So make sure to check out their podcast. They do all different types of comic book stuff, but they do clearly have quite the love for Ghost Machines. So way to go, guys, out there in the Oblivion Bar podcast.
Nice.
Now, this news is so big that I have to flee the scene. I have to make sure that I'm outside of the blast radius, and I need a drum roll. Because Snoggle is back in the newsroom.
Huge news. It is official. The Top Father himself announced at New York Comic Con that the first Ghost Machine action figure from McFarlane Toys will be Tariq Geiger. It's coming in 2026, and there's more info about it on our Instagram. I know someone in our house who will be purchasing that.
That's right. Fully articulated and fully radioactive. The character that started it all a few years ago, there's going to be a Geiger action figure. And Todd McFarlane announced a lot of cool new action figures at New York Comic Con, which was just a couple of weeks ago. And this was the first for Ghost Machine. First and only for now. But I got to tell you, they've got some momentum. They're coming out with this whole classic image line, going all the way back to even Shadowhawk and Savage Dragon and some of that stuff. So to me, that means there's some serious potential for the future of more characters, at least from the world of the unnamed. You know, a Simon Pure action figure, a Junkyard Joe McFarlane action figure, a Northerner. Oh, that'd be great.
So even like, okay, you know how action figures come with like little accessories.
Mm-hmm.
I know you should probably call them something cooler than accessories, but
no, that's what they're called.
I feel like it would be very fun to figure out, is it going to be like a little book? I think Baby Barney would be cute and appropriate. I'm pretty pumped about this one.
See, I'm a pretty fortunate fella in that I have a lady that's willing and able to have this type of a conversation with me. I'll tell you right now, all that's been submitted, it's like a graphic that was drawn of a McFarlane action figure. It says McFarlane Toys, and it's got the 12 plus in the corner, and it's got the Ghost Machine logo on it and the Geiger logo too. But it's not the actual proof for the artist proof or anything like that for the actual action figure. So I will definitely say that Tariq should have a book. That's hilarious. I would wager that we won't see Tariq with Barney until we see him in like some sort of collector's edition 2-pack type of deal. But that's, and you already got the gears spinning right there, Snoggle. So who knows what we'll get. But it's huge news. And it's such huge news that when we live in the era of the action figure, and we really do, like the adult quote unquote collectible is going the strongest it ever has, especially with this particular brand. He's very dominant. His competitors are actually dropping their prices to match his to try to keep up. And it is the type of thing where I hope that somebody will walk along the aisle at Target or Walmart and see that and be like, where's this comic? And then they go read that, and then it isn't just Ghost Machine fans that find the Geiger figure, that it's action figure fans that find this comic. I think that would be cool.
I think it speaks to the health of the Ghost Machine universe and this company that we love so much.
Now that you mentioned that, Jason made a point 2 episodes ago about if you want to foray into the action figure production realm, you really do need to make sure that you have an audience, that you've earned an audience for that.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's huge news. It's a big deal. Couldn't be more excited about that coming in the future of Ghost Machine. Also big news today, Hornsby and Halo 11 came out, and we'll be deep diving into that very soon too. But we're not talking about the world of the unnamed on this particular 80th episode. That makes us an octogenarian podcast. My mom had her 80th birthday 2 weeks ago. She's an octogenarian now too. That's exciting. It's a fun word to say. We're talking about Sisterhood, number 4, Sisterhood, a Hyde Street Story. And before we dive into this creepifying issue, we got to talk about the 2 covers that are available for the book. So did you get a chance to look at that first one with somebody, we're not sure who exactly, maybe 2 people behind bars?
Wouldn't it be wild if I said no? Of course I did. Cover A is Layla Lease and Alex Sinclair. It's kind of like that, homage to a Two-Face type situation. We got both of those girls and they're behind bars.
Yeah. And it's a Two-Face situation because the bars are dividing Sophie and Violet's face while imprisoned, right? Because on one side you can see like the flesh, and then on the other side you can see like that watery, veiny, and blonde hair type of deal. So I really like that cover. That's one of my favorite covers so far that they've done for this series. I thought that was really solid. The B cover was cool too, and by a pair of creators I have yet to enjoy, and this is my first time, and I really dig it. But it's by Clara Meath and Maury Hollowell. Maury Hollowell did the colors, and Clara did the inks and the pencils. And it's Sophie sitting in a police interrogation chair with the 2 cops talking at her, and then behind her is the see-through mirror thing, but that's where we've got Violet like creeping out. I thought that was great imagery.
Yeah, it's super creepy.
It is, and it's nice to see. Like I like this art. I think it's sharp. I dig it. So I'm gonna look up Clara Meath and Maury Hollowell, see what other kind of work they've done in the industry. Maybe I'll find something fun.
Yeah, it's looking good.
So it's just 2 covers this time, an A and a B cover. That makes a lot of sense. We're 4 issues into a mini series, so that's par for the course of some of the other stuff that we've seen go on around here. And we're ready to talk about them. which makes this your official spoiler pause for Sisterhood, a Hyde Street Story, number 4. All right, we're here. We made it. And we need to know who put together this fantastic comic book, Snoggle. Can you tell us in a creator roll call?
Yes. Our writer is Maytal Zahut. Zahut. Artist, Layla Leese. Our color artist is Alex Sinclair. And as always, our king of letter is here to represent Mr. Rob Lee.
To actually, I heard something because when we brought up our king of letters, and it's important that we clarify every time. We do try to determine how one man can do so much on a frequent basis, and we bring it up a lot. The new working theory in the fan community is that Rob Lee is clones. He's just many clones.
Rob Lee, like Universe A.
Yeah,
Universe
like
B, Rob Lee.
Right, exactly. Like there's or it's a multiverse co-op of letterers named Rob Lee that got together because that's the only way you could deliver such high caliber work on such a frequent basis.
No, he's just amazing. I really love how the comic book starts right off the rip with manipulation from beyond the grave. I still love you.
And that's like the creepy ghosty. It's Violet talking to Sophie, but it's that turquoisey aqua drowned dead person in your head chat bubble. And because Sophie's hearing it in her head while she's in this jail cell. You got some cockroaches just chilling. Like this is clearly not a nice jail.
No. We turn the page after the manipulation has begun. And of course, it's just like everywhere this girl goes, there's water where she can see this chick or something shiny, a shiny surface.
Right.
But it's just like, I'll get us out. Why? She's kind of delusional. Like, why are you mad? Because you put me in jail and you used me to kill people, you loon.
Because Violet is elaborating on that, like all of these horrible things that she's used Sophie's body to do are not that big of a deal. She literally says, "So what? They killed me. Why are you defending them?" And it's like it's kind of well beyond reason. So that to me is representative of the fact that we're tapping into like a distraught spirit of Violet, or like it's just it's not who Violet would have been. It's not like the restful spirit of Violet that can look back into the past of her experiences or whatever. It's like the evil spirit of Violet. Like this is the way that she's going to act as a result of the work that Sisterhood did. But I really like the second page, how they have all those bars separating the panels. And then they have the cockroaches crawling on those bars that separate the panels.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that Layla does a lot of cool stuff with the layout like that.
Well, we're going to talk about it in a couple of pages.
Yep.
You might like those bars, but I'm a fan of puddles myself. So then the cop comes in, which we have to think, did he hear her talking to herself?
Right.
But she's like, I didn't do it. And I do really love the line of like, then who did? Like, how do you explain to somebody like, it wasn't me? Just, officer, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but actually my friend has possessed me and is living within me now.
Right. Like, well, the question is because she's trying to convince her to let her take control. Evil Violet's trying to get good Sophie to let her take control of the situation. And it implies that, well, the way like it's paced on the panels, that by the time she says, "Officer, wait, I'll tell you everything," it's as if she's really going to do that, like you said. And then on her way in to talk to the cop, you see Violet in the reflection say, "Don't say I didn't try." And then we get that scary black and blue, like, don't remember with a bunch of blood. So Violet's saying like, I could have gotten out of this by talking, but you made me take control of your body again and do something horrible.
Which is like, I honestly, like, I kind of feel for self-care. because she is being possessed by a mad woman. I like the imagery of like she's looking, she blacks out, obviously, which means she's not in control. Hands covered in blood. And then we turn the page and she's like coming to and she's being tackled. Don't move, stay right where you are. And then she blacks out again and then she ends up in a dumpster. I think that's really a great way to storytell because we're more like her. She is a victim of High Street, probably. Or we're seeing it through what she's experiencing. I kind of like not knowing what happened when she didn't have control of her own body.
I don't mind not knowing.
Yeah.
But what we get is we get a flash, bloody hands, the same cop about trying to tackle her after it looks like that, so for whatever reason she shattered a window or there was a window shattered, and that's a big part of why her hands are bloodied because there's glass. And then he successfully tackles her, and there are two other police officers in the room with guns drawn. And then we still get a black flash again, though, and she makes it out somehow. She's able to make it out of that. Now, I don't mind not seeing that, like you said, and not seeing like whatever happens there, because I don't think it's necessarily that important. But it makes me feel as though what Violet is able to do is extra human or like the paranormal, because there's no way that Sophie on her own would be able to fend off multiple police officers, run out of a police station, down the street, and hide in a dumpster. When she was already tackled to the ground and pinned to the ground. So it must be that Violet can even like muster some oomph. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it makes you wonder, like, what else could she get away with? And there is a bottle of Devour in that dumpster she lands in, which is funny. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
That's that's the break. It's all the way from her being tackled to she's in a dumpster and Violet is telling her, would you be quiet? We're going to get caught. I got us out like promised.
Did you see on the wall, there's a pranky tag?
No,
And then like a ghost with like the Geiger bubbles.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I dig it.
And then the Mr. X-Way like glasses. Or at least the swirly swirl.
Yeah, I didn't. Now I do. Nice catch. And we see the cops driving by. She's in an alley, and then she's basically getting into it with her about how she's destroying her life. And there's more back and forth between the two of them. And this is where you see Violet expound a bit. And she says very resentful things like, you just stay home and study. I wanted to have fun and have a life. Why should I be in this position and you're, fine? And it's very much like the one side, the bad side only of Violet, and when we saw Violet and she was still alive, she wasn't all bad. She was becoming that. And so that makes me think that we're just seeing like this dark, tortured spirit side of Violet and not maybe what she ultimately will be, hopefully one day.
Or maybe it just draws out the worst of her. But this page is what I like. You were talking about those bars, how the panels are in these puddles. This is just so great. It's great art. It's great storytelling. I really, really like it a lot. As she's walking to Hyde Street, which is very exciting. I like that they pass a cafe called Hiding Cafe.
Yeah.
But think about how close they were. She's like, you don't deserve this life. Like, that's how deranged she's become. And she's like, that's not for you to decide. And suddenly, we're back in Madame Hood's shop.
Yeah, the tarot shop, because that's where she's going. And to your point about the panels, and we said it before, I would be really interested to hear how Layla arrives at those decisions. You know what I mean? Because it's really deliberate and it's really cool, but it also takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not. I would think that layout would be more difficult to put together. But I'd love to learn. I've inquired about chatting with Layla, and I would like to do so. But I have heard that if one does not speak French, that it's rather difficult, apparently. So otherwise,
we should have kept my niece Ruth with us.
Right?
She speaks French.
Yeah. Oui, oui. So Sophie makes it back to Sisterhood's shop and rushes right in. She says, "Whatever you did to me, you need to undo it." And the evil fortune teller says, "I don't take well to demands," and then does the prototypical door of the shop slams on its own. Creepiness thing going on.
I kind of feel like the whole point of, these people trying to get souls is there's a potential like what this got her too. So she's like, you wanted your sister. I returned her. Like, she did suffer a horrible death. A bit of rage is to be expected, which I find hysterical because you can only imagine she's speaking very eloquently with like a Victorian era like accent. Not like me. A bit of rage is to be expected. But I mean, I just think she's kind of putting her in her place. We all have responsibilities, and she's yours now. And she's like, she's not my sister, which I find that very interesting because we still don't know the exact background for Madam Hood, right? And she said, of course not. You wouldn't know the lengths one would go to for her sister. So I feel like there's some backstory there. You know what I mean? In later episodes of Hyde Street.
In the next issue of Hyde Street, we're supposed to learn more about the origin of Sisterhood. And I do believe that in the second issue of this series, maybe the first, when she went to see her, when she's coming down the stairs and she's got that dove, she makes a comment about how it's like her sister's spirit, I think, or something like that. And then it gets an undead, and it ends up being like an undead dove or something. So, and anyways, so I think you're right. And I think that that's what she's referencing, and she's making the point that like you don't know the lengths you'd go to someone who is really your sister, but ultimately she's saying that the only solution is to kill the vessel, and the vessel is Sophie for Violet.
I do think though that there's probably an alternative where this might be what condemns her to Hyde Street. So she says, then the body her soul occupies must die. She doesn't say, you've got to die. So maybe there's like deal breaker in here where she can switch that girl to a different body. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the way that Violet views it, because the only reflection we see is in the crystal ball, Violet says, it sounds to me like I can do whatever I want. And it's interesting because it's like in this moment when Violet learns this by observing them, she is able to take control essentially, right? Or like switch places so that Sophie's consciousness is now in the drowned place. It's just like, holy cow, somebody's got to give Layla Lee's all the comics ever to draw. But right, like, because she's like within the mirror and she sees all the different sorority people that she murdered. Like, the one with the thing through her belly when she fell on the fence is right there. I love that detail. And it seems as though they've switched spots.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that shakes out. And, we see this. She's like, you can't leave me here. You were going to do the same to me. And like, what an evil glare. And then the next panel we get is of, oh my gosh, I forget her name, but the like
Karma.
really bad Karma. Karma's standing there, and why she has, she's obviously cutting something in the kitchen. But what like a scary, she's got the curlers in.
And she's got a big, scary psycho knife. And she's debating with, if you recall, her name's River. And River's the one that was like, hey, maybe we tone it down this year and not do a class because of all the bad press. And she wouldn't listen. Karma wouldn't listen to her and said, no, let's go. And so this is them having an argument. And it doesn't seem like River is as concerned about like the damage that could do to argue with that person, which is good.
Yeah.
The other question we have now is if Violet took control of the body, Sophie should arrive at the conclusion relatively quickly that she can, in certain circumstances, grab control back. And
which we see here, because after you see her looking up like, oh no, we're at this sorority where I love the letters. I guess I've never realized this spell out sin. Probably talked about it before. And
Jason
she's like,
has.
I'm cold and I'm scared. And she's literally putting gasoline around the sorority. And the other girl comes out and basically is kind of like worrying with herself, like, oh gosh, what did I say? I can fix this. And then she gets into a confrontation with Violet, Sophie. I mean, she thinks it's Sophie, but I like how they show when it's outlined in purple, we know Violet's talking.
It's the new evil Violet inside. Yeah, that's such a subtle detail. And I would think that's Rob Lee and his army of clones are responsible for that. Violet, in control of Sophie's body now, is spreading gasoline around the sorority building. And we even, a couple of places, we see Sophie in the windows looking out at Violet in her body now, which is cool to me. And as soon, though, as Violet in Sophie's body catches sight of River, she tackles her, why'd you do all these things? There's some this back and forth. And then we even get this really cool image where there's like a two-headed deal. And because you can see like her peeking beyond the veil. And it's like the spirit of now Sophie in the mirror, right, is pulling control away. And she's like, she even says, River, run. And then she regains control and the purple goes away before River can get hurt. Like it looked like she was going to stab her with that glass piece and she stops that. But ultimately, the things in the evil zombie dead people inside of the watery gravy place distract Sophie enough to where Violet gets control back and does end up lighting the fire. I love the imagery of Violet being under the water and seeing the light above the water, where it's like to represent that she doesn't have enough power to push back through. In the same panel, the same page, where then evil Sophie in the purple, like you can see her eyes glow pink again or purpley, and then so does the chat bubble, and then she does light it up. I mean, the ending is mind blown. Because this is what you were saying. Like, there's going to have to be a twist. Otherwise, we don't have a fifth issue.
Well, I mean, fifth issue is bad karma. I honestly think her body's going, like, that soul's going straight into karma.
Right? So, last page, split right down the middle. On the left, we've got fiery redness with karma standing in her jammies and her curlers over the body of Sophie, who Violet was in control of, with the knife in the back. And then on the right, we see Sophie, but within the watery gravy realm, being pulled down by all the people that Violet killed in her body. So that's like pulling her away from her connection to the world of the living because her vessel just died. So that means that the tortured spirit of Violet has to go somewhere. And what about the watered down spirit of Sophie right now? I think you're right, because it says right there, what next? Bad karma. So that I would assume one of the two is going to end up in karma. But hopefully one of the two ends up in karma, one of the two ends up someplace else. And that is what leads us to a place where like there's a conclusion, and hopefully Sophie's not damned for life, because I would feel really bad for Sophie.
I would too.
We get a little hint of it.
However, we've all watched the movie Pet Sematary, right?
Yeah, it doesn't end well.
These good intentions of like, I want to bring somebody back, la la la. It's never good.
No,
It's
certainly
never
not.
good.
And it says it's going to be a fiery final issue. Will the price of Violet's revenge be Sophie's life? Question mark in issue 5. And it's a really great graphic with them swirling around in flaming wateriness. So, I mean, heck, it's just such a triumph to me, man. This art, I just really feel like Layla is a hidden gem in the world of comics. Like the fact that there are so many amazing panels on different it's just so cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Like you read this and you're like, wow, this artist really took it to another level. This artist really put forth time and effort on another creative level when they're like, okay, I'm going to put these panels in these glass shards. I'm going to put these panels in these splashes of water to help the reader feel like they're inside of it. I just think it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Way to go. So that's the 4th issue of the 5-issue miniseries that is Sisterhood, a Hyde Street Story. The second joint from Maytal Zahoot and Layla Lees and Alex Sinclair and Rob Lee, as always. But before we wrap up this octogenarian episode of the Ghost Machine Fans podcast, we do have a listener mail. Would you like to read it, my dear?
Sure. This listener mail is from Travis. Travis says, hello, Becky and Nick. I've recently found Ghost Machine with Hyde Street as well as your podcast. I'm caught up on the entire series, and my question is, why do you think the other residents are afraid of the Butcher? So much that they made a pact to keep him locked away. Thanks for reading my email and keep up the good work. What do you think, Nick Wilson?
That's a good question, and it's cool that I could be wrong, but Travis, it sounds like you've mainly just read Hyde Street, and one thing that's really cool about Ghost Machine is that I feel like it attracts all different types of readers because you don't have to read the unnamed; you have this experience too. So, and thanks for writing in. Really dig that. I have kind of wondered about this. I've wondered more about how do they keep him in, right? Because I wonder how do they keep him in that cell in the Matinee Monsters castle if he's so dangerous. And I was thinking that the pact must have some sort of collaborative magical element or whatever that the other residents had to come together because what he was doing was so disruptive, perhaps. Now, it seems at first it was like, well, he probably would like hurt them, and then they couldn't collect their own souls, and then so everybody's stuck there forever, and he terrorizes the other residents. And then it's like, okay, well, what would his purpose in that be, and why is he called the Butcher? And so I I have wondered the same thing, but it's also like even Sisterhood when she flips over the tarot card and she comes to tell Oscar, "Hey, I flipped over his card." It's like, well, okay, but he's still locked up right now. So is that flipping that up, indicating that soon the Butcher is going to break out? I think whatever he does, it makes it so that the residents there can't function in the ways that they need to perform their tasks. And it must be worse than what Pranky does. Because when you hear all that, it's kind of like Pranky. Like Pranky's got his quota, but he's sticking around for now because he wants to keep damning souls and he likes to get in the way of others' opportunity with which to do so. But I don't know. I'm not giving you a good answer. What do you think?
I mean, we just don't know. But the butcher, I mean, what does that sound like? It sounds like somebody who chops people up.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there is a possibility that maybe his abilities make it so he actually can harm the residents.
Maybe, but
maybe they turn into a victim of High Street versus being, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Something. Maybe he can like depower them, or who knows? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd think that if he was called the Butcher, he would have been like a serial killer in life, and that like now that he's on Hyde Street, he's wants to collect his 10,000 souls by doing more of what he loved to do. Kind of like how Dr. Ego agreed to it. But it's so interesting about these characters is they have another side. Like even Dr. Ego was like, well, sometimes he'll do free work for people that really need it. And that wasn't within the realm of all this evil, but he didn't want to admit that. So it's like, well, what's the Butcher's MO? Why is everybody afraid of it? And why it seems like Oscar was probably the one most capable of handling him for whatever reason, I guess, or keeping him imprisoned in that cell.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find all that out.
That's definitely a thread I'm looking forward to them pulling on, and I think we're about to learn that in the next issue of Hyde Street. But if you would like to send us a fantastic mail, as Snoggle loves to say, then you can do that by emailing ghostmachinefans@gmail.com, just like Travis did. We'd love to hear your feedback, your suggestions, your heckles, your ideas, your thoughts. And next week, we're going to be talking about the Family Odysseys once again with the Rocket Fellers number 10 on a release day deep dive.
Yay!
And if you'd like to check out all of our other content, you can do so by going to www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find all of our social platforms, our friends on Reddit, our friends in the Ghost Machine Comics Fans Facebook group, and make sure to check out our Instagram profile or the Reddit announcements, where both of those areas is our Discord invite link. We still have a wiki out there as well that we'd love some contributors for.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Halloween podcast.